And we are live back for yet another dark episode of My Hero Academia, this time season 7, episode 20. You thought last week was depressing and dark? You ain't seen nothing yet. Let's talk about it. All right, guys, Brent here back for Geek Variants, cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time, My Hero Academia, Season 7, Episode 20. And I gotta say, I am not emotionally ready for this episode. I am still reeling from last week, because last week was a fantastic episode done in only so many regards. And I have to give absolute hats off to Bones for their animation style last week. They did a fantastic job of making a lot of great things happen for each and every one of us. Because, I mean, I'm not normally a person that gets choked up about, animes or TV shows in general. But last week, My Hero Academia really brought the heat and really put me in a tough spot here with you guys, the viewers. I've basically made like a personal vow never to like break down crying in front of any of the viewers. It just seems weird, just seems odd. But everything that happened involving Shoto and Dobby and Endeavor last week, that was some deep touching stuff. I don't really know how else to phrase it. It was deeply emotional. It really delved into the redeemed son versus the prodigal son arc. Dobby was a prodigy in the highest order, but the only thing he could not do was wield the power of ice. And Endeavor, being so hell bent on ensuring that his line would become strong enough to take out All Might, which, very heroic thought process, mind you, really showing that he really deserves to be the world's number one hero. And his whole redemption arc is totally going great for him. And I've definitely forgiven him. I have not done any of those things. I don't believe in any of those things. Endeavor is still basically, in significant trouble with me as far as anyone or anything is concerned. He stepped up his character and the way he is tenfold as far as this season is concerned. And for that, I'm happy for those who are okay with the redemption arc. Myself, I'm not buying it for 1 second. It doesn't really sit with me all that well. And now we were able to kind of deal with last week the fallout between Dobby and his family, and it was really just a deeply touching, deeply motivating. Hello, welcome in, welcome in. I see you. I see you. But it was a deeply touching episode. Things were going crazy. Dobby was basically incapacitated by his own family due to the power of ice, and he being hit by such a powerful ice quirk that it basically froze him from the inside out, causing him to be in, for lack of better terms, Dobby is no longer going to be operational as far as this series is concerned. If people are worried about him being an evil threat, it's far from over. The only thing that they need to be worrying about is whether or not he is going to survive for the rest of this series overall. Dobby is no longer a key player. My favorite character in this series is now off. And I do appreciate it. First viewer, welcome in. Welcome into Geek Variants. Um, with everything involving Dobby, I'm a little torn up that we lost the one of the most promising villains that we've had overall as far as this series is concerned. He was being evil for the sake of revenge and ensuring that his father would never be remembered the way his father wanted to be, and rightfully so. Endeavor and him had significant issues. I'll just put it that way. And then the fact that he ended up with all four ones situation as his mentor really didn't necessarily help things along. Sure, he never really accepted the mentorship, but at the same time, he took some of these strategies and more vile and cunning actions directly to heart and kind of pushed things in a, if you will, even darker area than what they were before. And they were definitely not in the brightest of light before. Sure, he can burn flames that are blue and have the highest heat and the highest intensity of just about any hero or any villain ever. But it still wasn't necessarily enough to make dear old dad love him the way in which he wanted to. The fact that he was embraced by his father, his mother, his all of his siblings in this moment as he is fighting for what he believes in really just broke him because he no longer had that spine to go out and go through his villainous actions. He wanted to be someone who could be remembered forever as the person who just destroyed Endeavor's reputation, took out his family, and asserted himself as one of the greatest villains of all time. All because of the power of love and friendship, which, hey, Shonen Jump comics, they love to hit you with the power of friendship time and time and time again. This time they hit you with the power of family, and the power of family was exceptionally believable. It was tough to see, just from the sake of it was highly emotional. It really put me in a weird spot with you, the viewers. I was getting all, emotional up here, sitting in a chair, and you know, I like to resonate. I like to connect with the audience. I like to, feel the things that you guys feel, or at least have that conversation with you guys about the way I feel about things and the way you guys feel about things. Very rarely are we all on exactly the same page, same wavelength. No two people have the same exact thought process at the same exact time forever. It's just not humanly possible. We disagree on a lot of things. But I think last week we definitely resonated with the fact that that episode was an absolute banger from jump. And for me, I think My Hero Academia really reached their highest point they could have possibly had so far with the stories that have been told. And I've read the manga. I know where things are going, but I'm staying away from any heavy spoilers for those who are just an anime only viewer, because why would I ruin someone else's viewing experience when they want to take things one step at a time, you know? It just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem fair. It wouldn't be the correct thing to do. With Dobby now out of the picture, we focused in on the end of the episode. We saw All Might holding this briefcase, staring down his arch nemesis, all for one. And the episode did, in fact, just drop football edits. It just dropped on a Crunchyroll. It's called episode 158, titled A Girl's Ego. All Might is going to be addressed in this episode, as well as we're going to see Uravity going up against Toga and everything else involving Froppy. Things are going to be in a crazy state considering we have 2 episodes left and we still have Shigaraki and Deku to deal with. Bakugo is still down and out and dying. Dabi is now down and out and dying. And now we have to deal with the army of Twice, as well as everything going on with All Might and All for One. Things are going to get wild. I'm going to pull up the episode. I'll skip past the intro and all. I'm skipping the recap, of course. They started with the opening. The 222 mark on the episode is where everyone will want to sync up on your own devices, so you can pull it up on Crunchyroll. 222-minute mark. We will sync up at that moment in time. Go ahead and enjoy this amazing anime together. I know a lot of people are fatigued as far as this anime is concerned. I am enjoying everything even more so than I was early on. And frankly, that's likely just due to the fact that Deku's no longer crying and he's fully inserting himself as the true hero and the true protege that All Might wanted him to be, because All Might was an amazing symbol of hope. And it's about time Shonen actually had a mentor who actually, did mentorship things. Because a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, Kakashi was such a great mentor to Sasuke, who turned evil. Like you see the problem with that? Like, he never did anything for Sakura. He basically ignored her existence, as did the writer. But again, then with Naruto, he just passed him off to Jiraiya. Did Kakashi ever mentor anybody? Anywhere? No. All Might, on the other hand, young Deku, young Midoriya, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to train. Here's the people we need to talk to. I'm going to put you in front of the right people. We're going to make this work together and make sure you get the best training possible. Mentorship. Fantastic timing. If everyone's synced up at the 222 mark, I'm going to go ahead and hit play. Involving Dabi. And now we have to see Toga's reaction to everything, as now she's basically lost her last friend for the evil side because she does not care one way or the other about everything involving, All for One or Shigaraki in any uncertain terms. Oh, Froppy's already up. That was quick. Uravity's in a tough spot. Will she be able to go ahead and fight through there? That is not an ideal situation for everybody. Because Toga is definitely going for the throat in no uncertain terms, just for the sake of the fact that, you know, she's trying to avenge twice. But will she be able to go ahead and ensure using her will and her power to make this happen? Because her heart is very, very torn up. Because basically, she is an army right now of Deadpool's just going absolutely crazy. And this is an insane quirk of the highest level. It's like imagine if she had been able to get the blood of, use the power of all for one, get some of his blood or Shoto's blood, and be able to use ice and fire on this level and this scale and this magnitude. Instead, she uses twice as quirk, which twice, truth be told, never used efficiently, but use it so powerfully that now there's just armies overrunning every single battle site, including the fact that now Uravity is trying to fight for her life, and Hawks is still standing, quirkless, but standing. You got to give the boy a lot of props here because he's got heart. Will he have anything to do with surviving? Probably not. But we're seeing Uravity really like go out of her way to ensure that huh, her heart is involved in everything going on. And somehow she was able to find the correct version of twice in this army, which, huge props there. Because it's all identical clones. But again, I guess the one person standing atop the pile would be it. Hmm. Is now she's definitely not in the ideal situation for herself or any of her friends. Because slowly but surely, each and every person that Toga has cared about or even become close to is either dead, incapacitated, or doesn't give a rip about her in any single way, shape, or form. And the only people she really truly cares for is your Gravity and Deku at this point, which is a huge stark shift between everything she has going on. And you see that the army of Twices was definitely being limited for a significant amount of time. And now Froppy's body is being brought forward as what looks like it's going to be a sacrifice to Toga and her ambitions to ensure that Urabi is never able to exact her version of revenge. He's trying to save her, but God, this is like the worst possible way to make this happen. Gravity is desperately trying to reach everything going on here. Reach. And we see that Toga's childhood was rough, to put it lightly. And that more often than not, she tended to use her quirks in the wrong manner. A lot of people are viewing her as some sort of sickness or some kind of perversion, something that could be fixed or corrected, even though, well, more or less, it just really couldn't. It's very unfortunate to see. It's- She is basically an outcast of society just because of the way she was. Mm. And she spent more time, biting herself. And then she was like trying to fix things involving her friends or trying to say that she was better for society, but she just never really had a place to belong. And like she accidentally like destroyed her own family because she's so blood obsessed, but no one was ever to understand her or what things were going on involving her. Hmm. Really interesting to see. Well, all the different things that have gone on involving Toga because she has been in a terrible, terrible position. Hmm, hmm. Like, time to move. Oh, nice slap there, because that was a great move on Toga's part. I do love how they're not tiptoeing around the fact Toga's childhood was insanely dark. She was out there drinking her friend's blood. She was biting other individuals. She wasn't really allowed to be any sort of herself because who she was at her core was completely against the grain of society. If she'd been part of like a vampire coven or something and born into that, she'd thrive. She'd have the best of friends, known what love was, and been normal ish. The blood thing still would have been an issue. Let me go ahead and take that down so people aren't confused about what's going on there. As basically right now, the girls of Class 1A are going to have to bond together to somehow reach Toga's heart in amidst this army of no, we just twice as because these things are very, very much out of hand. Oh, and we have someone else who was just stabbed. Oh dear, who is it this time? Gravity, right in her core. That looks like it hit something vital. That's a problem. Despite Proppy's best efforts, Gravity has been stabbed. Because that was a deep wound. 'Cause Toga is just completely against this whole pity thing going on, and she just wants to enact everything going on. What's going on here? And then we're gonna get a little flashback involving the whole evil gang back in the beginning, back when Shigaraki was normal. They had their wizard friend still alive, Spinner, and Dobby back in the action. And Dobby's just like, "Yeah, naming yourself is kinda stupid," 'cause he's like, "Yeah, everyone only named themselves because the hero started doing it, so we just made ourselves do it. We don't have to, we just chose to." It's like it's better than sometimes getting, like, accidentally named by everyone else in society. It's like, imagine your quirk is fire, and they start just calling you Flame Boy. Like, Fire Lord wasn't an option? No. Like, just try and figure out there were other different and better names that could have been gone with. And Toga's just like, "Nope, I'm me. I am who I want to be. Like, I don't need to be involved anywhere." It's like, but by being part of the league, I was able to have a home because she's never really had that. And they're still basically going at it toe to toe because they still have a whole issue with Ideal. Because right now she's managing to use two quirks at the same time because she's floating and she's still basically half twice half Himiko Toga. She's still trying to avenge Jin for twice. So right now, if she literally went and found Hawks, this would be the perfect time to do it because Hawks is quirkless and only has a sword. Like with an army of twices, you could literally just start grabbing all four limbs and just pop 'em like a Lego. But will that be in the cards for our heroes or villains? Who knows? Yeah. Sad Man's Legion is basically what's going on here. I'm sure Twice, if he could see this, would want the exact opposite for Toga right here, right now, because this is definitely an unideal situation. Like they're still coming for everybody else who is down and out and is used the last of their quirks to make everything happen. Ox is still defending Todoroki, which is insane. Like, if anyone has any powerful quirks right now, now would be the time to go ahead and use them because we need something to where the earth is just going to shoot up and we can start yeeting some of these spices into the air so they become significantly less of a problem. But it'll be hard to do so with as many of our heroes stuck grounded as possible. Because right now, yep, Himiko's a- actions are definitely one girl is changing the shape of the entire future. And now we have our girl Uravity using martial arts to throw this army of twices around as we can. And Uravity is desperately trying to ensure that her power and everything about her is not going to be used for evil, even though she is going through absolute pain and agony right now because that she should be coughing up blood, but for some reason she's only coughing up saliva, even though she was stabbed in her vital area in her stomach. I wonder if there's something about censorship that they can't show that, even though her face is coated with blood. Mm, basically, this is going to be the Talk No Jutsu episode that I did not think we were going to be getting. I thought we were going to be getting more involving All for One and Deku. Well, All for One and All Might. I literally just skipped down the tree there somehow. Mm. It is crazy how accepting the league was of her and how much they got along, especially considering everything else. Because Himiko is literally, it just appears trying to kill those that wronged her in her past, trying to avenge her past, which you can't ever truly avenge your past or outrun it or force yourself to get full on vengeance for everything that happened, eye for an eye, or at least in the manner in which Himiko's trying to do this, because she tries to change society by force, there won't be any society left for her to be accepted by. She'll just be alone. The darkness will just envelop her. Hmm. And Uravity is really hitting everyone with them friendship speeches. Like, she is going all out to ensure that her power and quirk. Oh, wow. Her quirk is just gone wild to be able to lift this many twices. Oh my goodness, Uravity. That is a grow up moment there. The power scale is way up. I don't know what Uravity's done as far as training is concerned, but she has done insane things. Uraraka is doing the thing. Huge W for her and everyone around them to keep the army of Twices from being able to continue to march forward and will be able to save a lot of her friends' lives because, like, if more of them were on the ground, we'd have a huge issue. We definitely do need a more airborne hero to go ahead and go and just whirlwind these creatures all the way out of there. Mhm. Will they be able to capitalize on this moment? They really need to. Convoy Woods is really out here doing everything. Girl's court couldn't float more than 3 tons, and now she's floating an entire army of a couple thousand while bleeding out, even though she's going numb from this moment. She's basically at her limits. Mm. Now she's going to try and likely reach Himiko in a hug to try and fix the sadness with her because hugs can do that. So find, you know, the loophole here, the power of friendship for anything and everything involving them. Very weird camera angle that we keep getting from Gravity from behind that seems very, very unnecessary. Um, but Bones is doing a great job animation as far as the rest of the episode's concerned. Some of the weird camera choices might have been just comic panels they adapted shot for shot. I don't remember this arc nearly as well as I would like to. Mm. Gravity is still fighting out here, involving she just took a wicked right hand to the face. Mm. And now her arc is coming full circle. Will she continue to? Oh, she stopped the knife. The darkness within herself has reached a moment. That is creepy artwork, but that's really well done. Because she was literally about that close to stabbing Gravity straight through the head or heart, and that would have been game set match because Gravity is out. Hmm. We're finally seeing part of Toga's inner sad side. She wanted to be able to feel and experience and have hope and happiness, and she was denied that her whole entire life. But also, like, the way she was going about things was not ideal, but, like, a better parent would have been able to at least redirect her in a more positive and affirmative direction. But instead, well, she was pushed into the darkness, ended up with the League, and now we see where things are gonna be. And now they're hugging in midair as they're falling to the ground, even though, like, the knife is still, like, right over Uravi's shoulder, so if she falters at any point now, it's over. And now her army of twice has dissipated, so Uravity was able to reach Toga's heart and make her kind of realize the error of her ways and that people will still like her, people will still love her. It's just gonna be a process because she has some things to work on. I still think last episode was better as of now, but we still have a little bit left in this episode. Because basically all that's happened is she's Toga has replaced the love that she had for Dobby and for the League with love for Uravity and for Deku. And she just wants to be told that she's cute and that she's pretty and that she's loved, and then everything will be fine because shonen friendship animes happen all the time. Let's see what we got for next week. It's next week's the finale, and they're starting off with a montage involving all. So I'm assuming next week is going to be the week I have been dreading for basically since we started covering this show on Geek Variants. But we'll get into that when we get into the full on breakdown of that at next episode because that's going to be a doozy. Yeah, let's just send the greatest villain of all time up against our quirkless villain of his entire life, his rival, his quirkless rival. That is feeding a baby to the greatest demon king there's ever been in this show period or this world period. It's not close and it's not going to be a pretty episode for a lot of people. But again, My Hero Academia continues to deliver in terms of feels and touching people and trying to show, your heart, if truly touched the right way, can make a significant impact on your actions. Dabi last week was going all about revenge. He was just trying to seek approval from his parents because his dad was a POS and Endeavor still is a POS. There's nothing in my mind that has changed as far as him or how his actions are. He's come a lot better along as far as parenting is concerned, and he was willing to take his son's hatred, and him and Shoto were able to overcome and quote unquote save Dabi, even though now he's going to be on life support the rest of his life. This episode, we saw Uravity try and touch the heart of Toga, who has been a reject of society, and she just wanted acceptance and approval and to be told that she's pretty and she's loved and she's cared for by someone or something. Dabi spoke directly to the heart because Dabi is someone who's just, he's a straight shooter. He's always been that individual. He's going to talk to you the way he only knows how. He's going to level with you and he's going to see through your crap because he's been through a lot of crap. So everything involving that was very important. And then everything involving Twice or Jin in their conversations with Toga really touched her because he made her feel pretty, he made her feel heard, he made her feel understood, and then he was just like super supportive of her. And he's like, "Hey, if you want to go be a villain, go be the baddest villain there's ever been. See those civilians over there? Go have fun." Jin was supportive in the wrong way, but also the right way for her because that's what she needed at the time. She needed someone just to kind of push her to go do her things and support what she wants to do. But by the same token, having your Uravity really be like, look, I've seen all the evil things you've done. I've seen all the bad things you've done, but I've also seen you smile. I've seen you cry. I see what touches you emotionally. I see what drives you. And she was able to level with her in her darkest moment because she's basically in a full on depression assault because of everything that happened with Jin. She's going out straight to exact vengeance upon all of society because they didn't accept Jin, and Jin was truly probably a good person. He just made bad actions. He just got in with a bad crowd and continued to be a bad person because of it. That was his real only sin. So for Toga to go ahead and try and exact this kind of vengeance upon society for everything involving Jin, and for Uravity to not only take a direct stabbing through the chest, then a sucker punch to the face, and then deal with basically Toga pulling a knife and stopping it basically right here from her, that far from her actual temple. That's a lot of trust. And that's a lot of leveling to do with somebody to be like, look, I accept you. I understand you're in a lot of pain right now. You could do better things about this. We can work through this together. I value you. I see you. You're heard. I love you. That's basically all Toga needed to hear in this moment. And Uravity delivered a huge W as far as this episode's concerned. She's always been a character that's kind of grinded my gears. I didn't really understand what the power of being able to make things weightless was going to solve. But look, lo and behold, I love it when I'm wrong. I love it when I'm wrong. And Uravity was able to lift up several thousand members of Twice up in the air for everyone to see and be able to level with, Toga in that moment in time, to where now they're basically hugging it out. And Toga replaced the love that she had for Dabi and the League and just the individuals involved there with love for Deku and, Uravity. So now we're going to kind of see a whole new side of her. Will she ever be forgiven? No. Will she ever be truly accepted? Probably not, other than by Deku and her. Will she always be on a watch list because she's still completely crazy? Yes. She reminds me of that scientist from Black Clover who worked for the elves. If you've seen that arc, you know exactly who I'm talking about. She has a complete thing for Asta that is completely unheard of. But hey, that's another conversation for another anime. I hope Black Clover at some point comes back on television. I hope to God. It's so good. So the fact that it hasn't is kind of shocking to me. But this anime continues to hit. It did great things. I'm very happy with the product they've continued to put out. Bones' animation style is working. I'm happy with what we've seen. We're one episode away from the finale. If you liked any part of the breakdown or the live stream, be sure to hit that lovely red subscribe button. Greatly helps the channel out and keeps you as easier access to all the anime that we have covering here. We started covering Dandaman. We covered Mecha Ude. We are covering Dragon Ball Daima next week. We're still covering the last episode of My Hero Academia, just to list some of the animes, and we still have Agatha All Along, The Penguin, and several other shows on the way for breakdowns. I've been Brent for Geek Variants. Thank you for checking out our channel. Have a great night, everyone. I appreciate you and your time.